Hey guys, welcome back to Jessin Reads Romance. I'm Jessin, and today I'm here to talk about the Mafia Romance Readathon. First of all, I'm so excited. So excited that I'm able to participate in this readathon because it's been a while since I've been able to do something like this. So when Jen asked me if I'd be available, it just so happened to be scheduled for the very end of my semester. I was like, yes, I can finally do something with the book community, so I'm very excited about it. And very excited that it's Mafia Romance. Now, if you're new to this channel, then you might not know that Mafia Romance used to be one of my least favorite tropes in romance. I just very much disliked it. Then I became friends with Jen from the Book Refuge, who is putting this readathon together, and she suggested a couple of books that I might like. Hey, just try these out, see if you like them. And I ended up by loving them. Could have been right time, right place, right author, right story, doesn't matter. I did fall in love with some Mafia Romance, and I'm just excited to discover some more. I'll link all of my videos to my Mafia Romance vlogs and our past Mafia Romance readathon that I participated in because I discovered some of my all-time favorites during the last readathon, and I'm hoping that it'll happen again. So a little bit about the readathon. It's going to happen from May 5th, that's a Thursday, to May 8th. The live show is going to be on the 8th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And it'll be on Jen's channel. The other hosts, Jessica, Tori, Tiffany, Madison, will all be there. I'll be there, and we're gonna chat about all the books that we've read. There's a bingo board. This year, it's build your own, which I really appreciate. I like to build my own bingo board because I like to pick the tropes that I know that I'm going to like, or make a bingo board that will challenge what I usually don't gravitate towards, and maybe I want to challenge myself to branch out and try something new. And also all of the templates that I'm showing right here, you can go grab from Jen's Instagram. I'll link that down below as well. So some of the prompts that you can use are book with blood on the cover, because it's Mafia. There tends to be a little bit of blood. Book with royalty in the title, next in a series, new to you author, oldest Mafia in your library, tattooed hero, title is a name, captor captive, arranged marriage, recommended by a host. Follow the hosts, that would be everyone that I'm linking down below, Bratva Mafia, which is Russian, Irish Mafia, Italian Mafia, Cosa Nostra, which is Sicilian Mafia, Mexican Cartel, Brother's Best Friend, I love that, and Outsider to the Mafia. Now, since I am a host, I'm not competing for the prizes. I am exempt from all of the prizes, and it kind of frees me up to read whatever the hell I want. So I have a confession. I haven't actually made my bingo board yet, but I have picked out some books that I want to read, and I guess I'll build my bingo board around the books that I actually want to pick up. That's the beauty of the build your own bingo board. You can do it this way and find books to fit those prompts. So you can do it any way you want it. This is just the way that I want to do it, and I'm going to talk about the books that I've been meaning to read for a long time. There's a lot of those books on my list, and also just some random ones that just caught my eye. Now, originally I was going to include Brutal Vows by J.T. Geisinger on this list, but I realized there was no way that I was going to wait a week to actually pick up this book. I really want to vlog my reaction to it because if you have followed me for any amount of time, you know that J.T. Geisinger's Queens of Monster series is one of my favorite Mafia Romance series, and I'm very excited for the next installment, but no, I can't wait a week, so it's not going to be on here, but I probably will talk about it when we chat on our live show. So the first book on my list I have is Run, Posey, Run by Kate C. Wells. Recently, I've been binging Kate C. Wells. I actually started with her paranormal series, and it kind of blew me away, and I've been reading her backlist, and I knew Run, Posey, Run was a good fit for the Mafia Romance readathon. Lots of people liked it last year, and it has been on my list for a long time. So Posey and Dario, they are actually in a relationship at the beginning of the book, from what I understand. And he kind of breaks up with her or runs her off, and then in the process of running her off kind of realizes that oh wait, no, I actually do want you, and she's a mafia princess, she's in the world. And maybe during their breakup or while he's running her off, he sees something that he hadn't seen throughout their relationship. I'm not sure, but he wants her, and he is a psychopath hero, and I'm very, very, very interested in some morally gray heroes, especially psychopaths. I'm just kind of fascinated with how that works. Do they always land well with me? No, but I'm hoping that this one does. And I think that this one might be Italian Mafia. Don't quote me on that. We'll see. Next, I have A Bullet Between Us by Kay Dosel. I'm not sure how to say her last name, but we're gonna try. Another book that I've really been meaning to get to. I've owned this book for quite a while. It's probably not the oldest Mafia book that I do have on my Kindle, but I have been owning it since last year. So that probably will be a good prompt for this particular book. So the heroine witnesses some crime maybe a murder, and she's on the run. And then she runs into this guy named Elias, and somehow she is under his protection, but it doesn't sound like he is obviously in the mob. I think he's keeping some sort of secret, and he might have a secret connection to the mob that she doesn't know about. So that's all I know about this, and if you have not clued in, I like to know very little going in before I read a book. I kind of avoid as many reviews as possible because I like to form my own opinion, but I do like knowing certain tropes that are in books, any themes that I gravitate towards. So anyway, I'm keeping it sweet and simple when it comes to the descriptions of these books, and I think maybe this one has to do with the Russian Mafia. Not sure about that one either. Next one I have is Savage Tracker by Maggie Cole. Last year when Maggie Cole was releasing her books in her Mafia Wars series, I binged the first 3. And I kind of got a little bit burnt out because the stories tended to be a little bit similar. But Jenn really loves this series and really wanted me to get to Savage Tracker. She told me to skip book 4. That it had a lot of the same elements as the first 3 books, but this book, Savage Tracker, was a little bit different. And actually, it's about a couple that I'm very invested in. In the first 3 books, we see Selena as a woman who is in this very abusive relationship, and she's trying to get away from her husband. She's trying to divorce him. And our characters from the first 3 books get involved in that process in helping her leave her husband. And I've always wanted her to find her HEA after being in that situation. And of course, we get a little bit of a teaser in the previous books that Obrecht, I'm going to absolutely butcher his name. He's Russian. And Ivanov. He has kind of taken it upon himself to keep an eye on her. They live in the same building, so it's kind of like a neighbor's romance. And you can tell that he's interested in more than just her welfare. He's kind of interested in her. He likes watching her. So I'm very excited about this one. Very excited to get back into the Mafia Wars, and hopefully it'll spur me on to actually finish the series. There's lots of books in this series, and she just started her actual spinoff. But from what I've heard, it's not a spinoff that you can just jump in. You kind of need to read this series first. So anyway, we'll see. Next I have Dark Queen by Kara Dukey. I've only read a Kara Dukey book when she was writing with, I think, Kay Webster, if I'm not mistaken. So she kind of feels like a new to me author. I don't really know what her writing style is, but I did see this beautiful cover and I thought, yeah, why not? It's a marriage of convenience, mafia romance, and the heroine is actually a waitress and she's a ballet dancer as well. So she's very down on her luck. She's poor, and our hero actually needs to marry to inherit his money or possibly his position, not quite sure about that, and decides to pick her. So it's a marriage of convenience romance, and different social classes, which I thought was like very different. So I wanted to pick this one up. Then I started to see this author that I'd never really heard of before, and her name is Michelle Hurd, and quite a few of her books actually caught my eye. So I have 3 of them. I don't know if I'll read all of them. Honestly, I don't know if I'll read all of these books, period, but I want to get through as many as possible. The first one that really interests me is Tears of Salvation. So Tears of Salvation is actually a one-night stand romance, and then 3 months later they meet up again. They're both in the mafia world, and I think they might be part of different rival mafia families, possibly Russian and Italian. Again, don't quote me. I'm just trying to infer it through the synopsis. So this could be sort of like an enemies to lovers, forbidden romance situation, and I'm very excited about that one. Then we have Tears of Betrayal, and the heroine for this one is the bastard daughter of the head honcho for a Bratva mafia family, and she gets kidnapped by this guy named Dmitri, and it sounds like he has like this boogeyman reputation. So I don't even know why she's being kidnapped. Is she being kidnapped for ransom? Like, what's happening? No idea. But I think they fall in love. So like captor-captive romance? I'm in. And then finally, this one's quite different, is Taken by a Sinner. The heroine's mother actually marries a retired mob boss from the Greek mafia. And his son has now inherited that, and I think he's been in charge of it for like a number of years, like a decade or so. And his name is Nicholas. And I'm not quite sure about the age of these characters. I believe that they're going to be, or at least her age, because if he took over like 10 years ago, then he has to be close to 30, if not over 30. I don't know about her age, but it sounds like a forbidden step sibling romance, but make it Greek mafia. And I'm like, okay, also very, very into this one. I also have Mafia Mistress on here. And I'm laughing for a reason, okay? I've heard quite a bit about this book, and originally I didn't want to read it, okay? I believe Jess and Tori have already read it and really liked it. Then Jenn picked it up, and it's a duet. Also, I have a thing about duets. I don't really love them. I actually have a very hate-hate relationship with duets at the moment, which that's for another video. But I was kind of convinced by Jenn, who read the first book in the duet, Mafia Mistress, didn't love it too much, but also was like, it's something that I couldn't stop reading. It was compelling, but it wasn't my favorite. Then she picked up the second book, Mafia Darling, and was like, okay, I kind of love it now. So now I'm intrigued. I'm like, what could possibly go on in this duet to make it at first a book that she wasn't quite into and wouldn't necessarily recommend to, oh no, I actually end up by liking this. Like, I need to see what's going on, okay? So I'm going to read Mafia Mistress, hopefully Mafia Darling too, but I just put the first one on there. I have a couple other ones that I have like in rotation, and the only reason why I put so many on this TBR, knowing that I probably can't get to all of them, is because I don't want to get stuck in a rut where I'm just like, oh, I only picked these 4 books and I'm not really loving these 2, and I don't want to force myself to read something that I'm not loving, so I kind of wanted some backups. So I have 2 more in that rotation, Kingdom Come and City of Thieves. I haven't even delved into what they are about. They were just recommended to me. So I also have those waiting on the sidelines in case I need them. Now I do have a couple of recommendations for Mafia Romance in case you want them. I am quite picky. So what tends to happen is that I end up by liking a certain author's writing style if they're writing Mafia Romance, and I want to recommend pretty much all the books that they have in that particular Mafia series. So you probably heard of a lot of my recommendations, but like I said, I'm pretty picky with the types of Mafia romances that I like to read. Again, I'm quite a newbie to Mafia Romance. It was only 2020 that I started kind of picking them up again. So I'm still delving into that world, and also just I haven't had a ton of time to just dedicate to reading new authors. But I will tell you the ones that just live rent-free in my heart. You can see a couple of them right here actually. So I'll go grab those and then I'll tell you about them and why you should read them. So first up we have Ivan. I love Ivan. This actually was a book on my TBR for the last readathon. I'd already discovered Sophie Lark, but I was delving into her backlist and I was like, oh, I definitely want to read her Underworld series. Ivan is the first book in her Underworld series, and I absolutely fell in love with this couple. It's not a very long book either, but Ivan is a notorious Russian mobster, and Sloane has been tasked to actually kill him. She's been hired to kill him. So she actually sneaks into his compound like nobody's supposed to be able to do this. She sneaks in to try to kill him. Of course she gets caught, and he decides to kind of keep her captive for a little while, and they fall in love. And I just absolutely love it. I think that they're both badass characters. Sloane is such a strong, independent woman. She's very dangerous in her own right, and so I just love them, and I consider them like my power couple of Mafia Romance. Then I have Stolen Heir, which is the second book in her Brutal Birthright series. It's a captor-captive romance, and the hero is actually the head of the Polish Mafia in Chicago. He steals away Nessa, who is an Irish mafia princess in Chicago, and keeps her captive. It's kind of like a Beauty and the Beast trope as well. I love his like old crumbling mansion that he keeps her in, and I just really love this couple so much. And Broken Vow is actually about the heroine from Stolen Heir's sister. So they are completely opposite sisters. Nessa is quiet, very girly, doesn't really want to do anything with the mafia, and Riona is a shark. She's very involved in the family business. She's a lawyer, and she definitely knows what's going on in the mafia world. Well, somebody has apparently put a hit out on her because there's a guy that tries to drown her in her own pool at night. Her BFF Dante decides, hey, you know, my buddy from my army days, Raylan, he kind of does bodyguard work, so I'm gonna put him on you so that you don't get killed. And she's like, oh no, absolutely not. I don't want this stupid flannel wearing cowboy to be babysitting me. Like, I'm completely fine taking care of myself. But Dante's like, no, it's fine. Raylan's gonna watch you. And I love this opposites attract romance so much. And it's also a grumpy sunshine trope. I love when we have a grumpy heroine and a sunshiny hero. It just gives me life. Also, Raylan and a barn scene. That's all I will say. Absolutely worth the read. And then we have The Heir by Sophie Lark. Now, this is actually a spinoff from both her Underworld series, the one that Ivan's from in her Brutal Birthright series. It's the next generation, so a lot of their kids show up at this college for mafia kids. It's like Hogwarts, but make it mafia. And this first book is actually a friends to lovers romance, best friends. They've grown up together, but Leo has harbored secret feelings for Anna for a very long time. And it all kind of comes to head whenever they go to Kingmakers. I really love all the books in the Kingmaker series, but I think that the heir is just not talked about as much as maybe like the bully. And also the spy, because there's just a lot of build up and mystery leading into the spy. But I really love the heir. It's such a great book, and you kind of need to read these in order for sure. Now, I mentioned earlier that the Queens of Monsters series by J.T. Geisinger is one of my favorites, and yeah, these babies, oh my goodness, I could talk about these all day, but I'm just going to quickly run through them. Ruthless Creatures is the first book in the series, and it actually has a heroine who is not involved with the mafia world at all. She just kind of like accidentally gets involved with it whenever the hero, who is kind of hired to kill her, possibly because she could know something about this guy who stole from the Russian mafia. But when he gets there, he kind of is obsessed with her. So he doesn't kill her and instead inserts himself into her life as her neighbor. But if I had to pick favorites out of this entire series, it would be book 2, because Carnal Urges is so freaking amazing. I love it. I'm obsessed with this book, unreasonably so. I just really love Sloane. Yes, we have another Sloane. Sloane is so badass in her own way. She's incredibly girly. She almost has no filter. Everything that comes to mind, she just blurts out. She's also incredibly charming. This is a captor-captive romance, or at least it starts off that way, because Declan, our Irish hero, kidnaps Sloane in retaliation because he's warring with our hero from book 1, and Sloane is the heroine from book 1's best friend. So he's like, yeah, we're gonna capture her because also her boyfriend kind of like started this war. Seems like good collateral. Well, he kind of regrets kidnapping her almost immediately because she does not react like any captive female that he's ever seen. She's almost comfortable in this situation, making friends with his bodyguards, with his men, and he's just like, what the hell is actually happening? Who's in charge? Is it Declan or is it Sloane? It's amazing. Anyway, I love it. Then we have Savage Hearts, which also is like a very close runner-up from Carnal Urges. And Sloane's little sister, Riley, who she's not really close with, she invites Sloane because she's like, hey, I'm possibly getting married, so I'd like to see you. And Riley's just kind of like, huh, sure, you getting married? Like, Sloane is anti-boyfriend. Whatever, I have to see this. So she goes to this private island to meet her sister, who she hasn't really talked to in a long time. And Riley is very much an introvert. So she arrives at the house and she's like in ratty gray sweatpants and stuff. And what she doesn't know is that they're all being watched by this Russian hitman because somebody has hired this guy to kill Declan. When Malik sees Riley, he kind of like has this assumption. He's just like, oh, this poor dear. Like, what? She looks homeless, and what are they doing? Are they hiring her for some kinky love fest? Like, I kind of have to rescue her, don't I? It's even more hilarious when you think about it because Malik has this reputation for not even caring about women, but for some reason when he sees Riley, he just like, he has this insane protective urge to get her out of this situation. He could kill Declan, and he should feel no compunction about having collateral damage, aka Riley and Sloane, in the process, but he can't make himself do it. So instead of trying to find some open shots for Declan, he tries to warn Riley away, giving her money, being like, you don't need to do this. And Riley's just kind of like, what in the hell is going on? It turns into a captor-captive situation. I'm not going to say how because it's a little bit of a spoiler. But yeah, these books are fun and they're kind of on the lighter side, I would say. They deal with some heavy stuff, don't get me wrong. It's still mafia. But I think the humor in these books set them apart from a lot of other mafia romances, and I appreciate that. And then we have the 5 Points Mob series by Serena Ackroyd, the first book being Filthy. It's also affectionately termed the Filthy Fecker series, and I love the first book because the hero, Finn O'Grady, he's kind of like the numbers man for the 5 Points Mob, the Irish mafia in New York, and he's trying to buy out this building, and there's a last holdout. Aoife has this tea shop that her mom used to own, and she had recently passed away. And she does not want to sell. She does not want to sell out. So Finn O'Grady has to pay her a visit personally and be like, you can't really say no to 5 Points Mob. Like, you're a good Irish girl, you know who we are. And she's like, oh fuck, I really can't. But he kind of is like, since you gave me the runaround, I kind of want a night with you as well. So that's part of the deal. He blackmails her into sleeping with him. And that's how their relationship starts. Not a great start to a relationship, but it also makes it kind of fun. So yeah, Filthy, great start to a series. Lastly, I have the Boston Underworld series by A. Zavarelli. I haven't read these books in a long time, but I still vividly remember them. Very gritty, interesting mafia romances. So this is like the Irish mob. The first book, Crow, actually has the heroine kind of like infiltrating this club because one of her best friends has gone missing and she's searching for her. She's pretty badass, but the hero obviously takes an interest being like, there's more to you than meets the eye. What's going on? Got to keep an eye on this girl. Also, I'm a little bit falling for her, and he doesn't want like anybody else messing with her. So I really like Crow, but I really like Reaper. It's such a different story. I love this hero. He has a lot of past trauma that he's working through, and I just feel like his character, his like boogeyman character, is made more interesting by internal thoughts because it's like he definitely is more than meets the eye. The way that he grew up kind of influenced his role in the mafia, and it's not necessarily something that he relishes. And I really love the relationship with him and the heroine because she gets under his skin and gets to know him a little bit better, more than anybody else has ever done before. And guys, he's also a virgin hero. So anyway, I love Reaper. Okay, so those are my top mafia romance recommendations so far. And hopefully after this readathon, I'll have a lot more that I can recommend to everybody. So mark your calendars, follow all the hosts, and make sure that you fill out the form once you're done with the readathon and you get your bingo board completed because you could win all the prizes. I'm so excited to hear everyone's thoughts during the live show, which again is going to happen on the 8th at 7 p.m. Central Time. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, make sure you subscribe to get notified on any future videos that I do. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, life's better with little HEA. Bye guys.